Today I'm in the Art Garden studio. I haven't been demonstrating in here for quite some time. I've always been sort of out and about in the wilds of North Dorset and on holiday in Cornwall and North Wales, and I've been all over the place the past few months. So today is a very wet, drizzly day, so I thought I'd come in here and do an art demonstration. I'm going to talk you through what materials I'm going to be using today. So we'll start with the paper. Always use good quality paper. This type of paper is Bockingford. It's cold pressed and it's about £140, and meaning in weight, and it's acid free and it's rough textured. When it's cold pressed, it's always rough textured, meaning it has a roughness to it slightly on the paper, and you get this, it's almost like, yeah, they get this lovely sort of grainy effect sometimes, and textural as well. And it's my favourite watercolour paper to use, the rough textured one. Okay, so I'm going to now talk you through the brushes that I'm going to use. So we've got 5 different brushes, and 2 look quite similar. So when I'm going to be doing my flat washes, wetting wet on the paper, I normally use a flat haired brush. It could be a Chinese hake, which is like this kind of brush, or I've really got into using, you can see I've used it a lot, I've worn it out, and I've only just bought this like 4 or 5 months ago, and it's a Hog's Varnish flat brush. As you can see, it's all natural hair, but it's really good for getting those flat gradiated washes on the paper. Then for the detail, I will probably end up using these brushes. So we've got my Filbert brush, which I just love this one, which again is hog's hair. And you've got the Chinese, well, it's a Chinese calligraphy brush. And then we've got the 2 sable-haired brushes, 2 different types, I might need those. And the paint that we're going to be using is sort of a mixture here. We've got Langnickel, Royal Langnickel, which is very affordable paint. So we've got Burnt Sienna, Prussian Blue, Rose and Gamboge. This particular one is a Coatman range one in Winsor and Newton. They're really good as well, not too expensive. So that's basically what we're going to use, and water of course, on a porcelain plate for mixing. Put a generous amount of watercolour paint on the plate so you don't run out. There you go, just... because believe it or not, we'll be using all of this paint. There, just put it around the side of the plate so then you can mix into the centre. Okay, so we've got our 4 colours. We've got our water. Get myself comfortable. Brush is there. Over there. And what I'm going to do today is talk you through a wetting wet technique. And I'm going to go visually into my memory, and it's going to have a feeling of looking through a hedgerow. So I'm just wetting the paper all over. That's very important, to get the paper nice and wet. Okay. I'm going to start off with my glowy yellow colour. And I'm going to layer that all the way with gradiated washes all the way down. That's why a flat-haired brush is perfect when working like this. Then I'm going to tip it, just slightly. Just get rid of those two little hairs. There, okay. So I'm mixing to the same colour normally. So now I'm going to just make up a little bit more of that and mix some burnt sienna into the gamboge, and it makes a gorgeous chestnut brown colour, which is wonderful for the autumn tints. What I'm going to do is just leave this totally like this, and I'm going to just get that a little bit thicker. It's going to be an autumn hedgerow. So here goes. So I'm going to frame my light all the way around. All around the edge. So there's going to be a little scene that forms within it. It has a feeling of the hedgerow eventually. You have to build bit by bit and then start using texture around it. Okay. Okay, so what I've done now is I've mixed some rose into the burnt sienna and the gamboge. And I'm going to put some splashes of the rich orangey sort of reddy colour that you get in the trees and the hedgerows this time of year. It's such a colourful time of year before the earthy browns and the more delicate colours start to form in the winter months. So you've got to make the most. Okay, so you've got these layers starting to form. Might do a little bit more. So they look like berries maybe, I don't know. I'm just going to drop the colours on. Try not to think about it too much. It's just a dazzling array of this festival of autumnal colours. So now I'm going to go for that Prussian. Oh, look at that. So it's got your earthy browns. Put a little bit of burnt sienna in there again. There again, just dash the brush on in areas. Be very careful not to speckle your scene within. This glowing ball of light, isn't it, at the moment? And as you're working, get excited about what you're doing. Okay, so I'm making sort of browns and sort of almost tinges of dark greens. So I'm going to bring out those warm colours. Then, if you've got too much colour on your brush, or say you want to work in a sort of textural way, then just press the paint on, stipple it on almost, yeah. So I'm going to, in a minute, go back to this as it starts to dry and go more detailed. But I just wanted to get the initial colours on because I need to work within my scene. I'm going to go back to that. You have to work quickly when you're working wet in wet. Okay, so I'm going to leave that now. Okay, so the colours that I've used around the hedgerow to frame it, I'm going to use obviously within my background. So I'm going to put a horizontal line in. And I'm going to work from that, like a platform. Okay, so what I'm doing is just mixing lots of different colours at the moment to get the desired colour that I want. I think I'm going to go for quite a strong, earthy brown colour. I'm going to run my brush all the way across. Okay, what happens is it feathers up and it feathers down. So what is here, it could be a lake, it could be, yeah, why not? So, I'm going to start with some of that. In fact, and I'm going to then reflect underneath. So just think about all the different colours that you get as you work. And you've got to work quick. Oh, there's a nice green, dark green one there. So really it's always best when you're doing reflections is to instantly then reflect back as you're working. I'll clean that brush. Okay, let's do it bigger. Oh yes, let's do some of that. Rich rosewood sort of colour. I'm going to do it all the way along. So really, don't think too much, just feel what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing. Squeeze out some more rose colour. I'm going to go back to my horizontal line. And run my brush along it again, just to bring that lake out. So it connects. Because that's really important. Okay, I'll go back to that again in a minute as it starts to dry. So let's leave that brush just like that, and let's go back to my hog's hair brush, or I might even use these two brushes in a minute. So again, dabbing with the brush to create texture. It's still quite wet. I'm just, again, dabbing to print on some shapes. But again, what else I can do when I dab that colour on, I can drag as well. It's still a bit wet, but I can start dragging some branches down maybe. Some wisps. And also I can just use my nails if I want to. Just to etch out, did you see that? I use my little thumb nail. I love doing that. I love being tactile when I'm working. Okay, so I'm starting to build in some darker shades in areas, you know, but I don't just stay in one area, I move around. Again, just use all the colours that you've made on your plate and keep changing to get the variety of light and depth. Also, you can sweep colours in as well. And it's really important to use your brush in lots of different ways. But it's really important as well when you're going over those warm colours is not to lose too much of that either. So don't go too dark too soon. Don't go too solid in the way you work. Keep it light and lively. Starting to dry a bit more, so the colours are just sitting. Normally, if I do any sort of odd branching, whatever, I'll wait till it's totally dry. I mean, you can just sort of pull across slightly, but it's still quite wet. I'm just going back over some of the leaves, a little bit more strength, using the paint thicker. Let's go a bit darker in there. again, if you've got too much paint on the brush, just dab it onto a cloth, okay? If you're worried that it's going to come out too strong. So here we go, get that flow. So you're using your wrist action and your hand action, like that almost. Yeah, you're almost rolling the brush. So it's important to keep that momentum. As soon as you start thinking, then you've lost it. I'm dragging up now, make sure I haven't got too much paint on my brush. Drag up. There's a few reeds, grasses coming up. Just very suggestive. Very subtle. It's almost like you're just filling in now. I'm going to go back to the baseline here. It's a very meditative way of painting again, because everything is a repetition almost, but you're just feeling the detail by just pressing and printing the different shades on as you go. You think how many different shades I've had to put on, but I haven't been thinking about it too much. So again, it's feeling that movement. Really feel that you're almost there, you know, standing and looking through this gap in the hedgerow. Still a bit wet down here. I'm just going back over here as it's dry. So I've got this fuzzy effect, which I like. I don't know about you, but recently I've just been totally immersed in nature. I've spent many days just walking through woods and seeing so many different shades in the trees. And then if you do that more and more, and you can just do something from your visual memory without copying from a photo in front of you, it's far more freer, it's more relaxing, and it's more fresh to do it totally from what you can remember. So as it starts to dry, you can kind of just do a little bit more to finish off. Also, then it's knowing then when to stop. Be contented with what you've done. And what I'm going to do now is just slightly, just sort of finish off maybe these trees, just do just a little bit of shading. So I don't want too much paint on the brush to do this. But I'm just going to just close there. Just a little bit more of a tint on there. Maybe a bit of, yeah, that. And there you go, looking through the hedgerow, a little scene, all watercolour, showing you that you can create something with a frame around it of nature, and you're just looking through to the lake and then the reflections of the autumn trees and the balance of it.